rules and we hold people accountable to them.
Um, I think that's it. Let's see if we can pull up a chart here. Okay. Wow. There we go. Boy, things are really slow. Haven't had a slow connection like this recently, so that kind of concerns me. Anyway, all right. So here's the crude that I was talking about earlier. And absolutely no surprise here, right? So this thing, it dumped down. The thing that I did like about this is it came back and it reclaimed the gap up, right? This is that Sunday, Sunday night, whatever, gap up. So that's a CME gap. And I don't think it's filled it, but it has reclaimed it. So what I think you're going to see is a bounce. We are seeing that. No surprise at all. What I expect is $100 to develop as resistance, right? I know there's a big inefficiency up here, but this is going to be head and shoulders. I think pretty clearly. It's a double top head and shoulders, right? Like right here. We'll just rough it out. Something. Oops. Turn the magnet off. But so about like that. That's a double top. So it has not confirmed with the lower low. I mean, that's a pretty deep drop off the first top, but I think you're going to look for. I do think that technically, boy, there's just a couple points I have to get into here. So technically, you're looking at targets down here, probably down to this inefficiency. This gap up here around like $70, but it's going to take a while. I don't think it's going to fall super fast because of the interruptions to the flow in the oil supply and the damage to some of the processing equipment and whatnot. It's not like flipping a switch, we just really interrupted the stuff. So I think from an operational point of view, it's just going to take a while to catch back up. So what I'm expecting to see out of this is a head and shoulders, right? So we have a defined uptrend, confirmed uptrend here, and really nice right shoulder, nice and rounded, and then we have a reasonable head here. Quick drop off of this. What you often see off of something like this is some flatter consolidation. Like I do not expect to come back up a challenge of this at all. So again, $100 probably develops as resistance. So you see some bouncing around here, and then it checks down lower, and like there's nothing on this chart, right? Because like I say, I haven't followed this that much. That looks kind of good actually. We'll go for line. Oh yeah, this is an old. Here we go. That's why. So here's a candle imbalance, right? Right there. Whoops. Yes. That's what happens when you turn your magnet off. There we go. Okay, so here's the candle imbalance. Yeah, you can see how it checked down into that. You're gonna have an SR right there. Right, it's really clean. So yeah, that's where I would expect the next reaction. So people are shorting, and like if you were in a short, good on you. And I would probably hold it. I probably would have already trimmed if I were in a short, just knowing that you're going to get some kind of a bounce and an opportunity to add back a little bit. And when I say trim, I mean exactly that. I don't mean exit the position. I mean just take whatever you think is a reasonable profit, because you might not get a reentry, right? Like maybe it happens and you miss it. You should probably set orders if you're following this strategy, but maybe it doesn't hit, right? Those things happen. So you have to balance where you're at with that sort of the short-term swing versus the longer-term trade, right? Because I'm a big advocate of swing trading a portion in order to continue to increase your position for the longer term trade. And in this case, I think it's perfectly reasonable to expect that action goes down. Probably down here. Because that's so under 70. Yeah. But it again really not guaranteed, and it will take a while. And the other thing I've said recently, and people are really unhappy with that, is that it's going to take a while. I talked about the distribution issue and stuff. So it's going to take a while for gas prices to come back down. Okay, so I mean they'll come down this week. You know, I pretty much guarantee you, right? That, the way gas stations work is that they buy a tanker full of gas and then they sell that gas at a certain price, and they have difficulty changing the price below lower. You know, they have difficulty lowering the price because they paid X amount for it. There is a little bit of interstation competition, but by and large, you know, they got to use up the gas that they have before and get new gas before they can drop their prices. But I honestly think you'll see gas prices come down this week. That's the good news. I think you'll see gas prices continue to decline slowly for a while, although it will probably be to the point where it completely offsets the normal summer jump. But the bad news is that when prices go up on something due to, you know, some sort of news event, to some sort of situation, a temporary situation, they never come back down to where they were before. So the bad news is that nationally, we're not going to see $3 gallon gas for a long, long time, if ever again, right? I mean, why? If price goes up on something, you know, if you're paying $3 a gallon, and you that was only if you were in the Midwest or whatever, but if you're paying three and it went up to like 4.50 or maybe five, I don't know if it was five in the Midwest, but and then okay, but let's say you were paying three, it goes up to five, you know, if they drop it to like 3.95, 3.85, they know you're going to be happy enough with that. You're like, oh God, thank God, right? But it's still 85 cents more than it was before the whole thing started, right? I learned that really young, like in my teens, when I saw that happen with coffee and sugar. I was like, the price never comes back down all the way, just never ever does. So that's my I don't know, my pessimistic view. I like being a pessimist because, and I really love this. If I'm surprised, it's usually a good, happy thing, right? It's not like I get surprised and I'm like, oh, something shitty happened. Well, that's what I figured would happen. Anyway, so there we are with U.S. oil. Let's go to our regular deal here. Gold. A lot of people got wiped out on gold. I think a lot of people were shorting it, and like, I guess structurally, I could see why maybe you thought it would reverse here, and it did. But I don't know. When after that impulsive move, I don't know that I'd have expected it to dip down lower, right? So deviation below this was all old inefficiency, wherever that's from. Oh, okay. Yeah, obviously much higher time frame, probably weekly. Anyway, you know, sorry, deviation below that, break back above, came down, check the very bottom, so caught the edge of that SR right there, and then boom, took off. Really nice indecision candle there too. Look at that, beautiful spindle doji. So, and when you see those near a structural level, and you know action seems to be slowing down, and you could see that here on the SRSI that the downside action was likely to slow there. You know that is often a reversal signal. Really clean like that. So yeah, let's back up a little bit just to see where we are and where we might be going. Weekly. Okay, well I think the weekly SRSI has kind of bled off. I think it would probably come back down and confirm this though. I kind of don't feel like it's just gonna rip right back up off of that. I mean, it's clean, but yeah, I don't trust the wick down here. And again, so you have a pretty volatile move down. This is just the first bounce, so I would not expect it to. Maybe it comes up. I got this backwards, I guess. Yeah, so here's the retrace on the move down. So yeah, I don't think it gets above 5,000 before it dips again. Let's see if the daily says anything different. Oh yeah. Yeah, the daily. This is looking kind of not exactly bear flaggy, but you know you have a move down here, and this is clear rising consolidation here. That's not typically supportable. Yeah, and the 4 hour looks toppy. So sure, I think that's what you're getting here. We may get a little bit drift up, a little bit more, but yeah, I think fives. I don't think we'll get to five. There's a little imbalance here, so maybe to like, it's pretty close to five, but If I were holding and I were looking to sell and I thought it was going to pump up near 5, I would not put my order above 4,900. I really wouldn't, because there's an SR here too. Like maybe it reclaims this, maybe it doesn't, but the safe bet is to get out at like 49. Wow, so we did gold before Bitcoin. Okay. So really good compression in the SRSI. I think it pushes up on the monthly, but it may not have bottomed yet, right? This is one of those flag things. So I think we get some recovery. 76. Oh yeah, the argument was that was the big question today. Does it go to 80 or 60 first? And might not go to 60. I think there was something like 63. I can't remember. I have to look at a lower time frame, but I don't think it's going to 80 before it dips back and checks. Weekly definitely looks like it's heading up here, but again, you see it had this move down here, and then you had that rising consolidation. This is looking a little bit more healthy structurally, I'll be honest, but I don't know. Not seeing it just yet. Yeah, see the daily. This is okay. Well, do you have a inverse head and shoulders down here? So this could just blow right off here. I don't know, man. That looks. I've been using this a lot lately. What is it? Why can I not remember? Sorry. Yeah, regression trend. Just because it's really easier than drawing all the things myself. And the interesting thing about it is like it can be a little bit less accurate, particularly in the beginning of some consolidation or some ranging action. But it gets more and more, and it kind of like it'll move, right, as the action develops, and it kind of dials itself in. So I do like that. There are also some aspects of it that I've sort of I recognize kind of accidentally, and I think there's actually a possibility that I might attempt to make an indicator, because I talk with a chatbot, and he said, "Oh, you should make an indicator," and I was like, "Why would I do that? Somebody else has already done it, right?" And they were like, I said, "Not exactly. Like there's related, but." They said that not with the same concept, not as cleanly oriented to the particular concept that I was trying to get at. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll do an indicator. It'd be fun. Obviously, it's going to help me with the coding. So daily, I mean, you got to like this, right? You really do. This, I guess, maybe that plays into this inverse head and shoulders here, but really strong rejection from the test down here, and then kind of copy. Higher low again. This is getting a little extended. I think we'll see pretty quickly whether this continues to push ups. Like SRSI can hold up here quite a long time and just continue to push the frame up. But yeah, like 80,000 is that's just a good ways up there. I think you're just asking a lot for 80,000 right now. There's gonna be a big SR right here. I mean, structurally too. Even if you're looking at this like it's not a W pattern, but even if you were looking at it like here's the intervening high, there's going to be some pretty stiff resistance there too. Volume's not bad, but it's uneven. Not thrilled with that. The 4 hours gives us anything? Not really. Oh yeah, well we are. You gotta like the fact too that this is a lower low underneath that bullish order block. If it can confirm 69,000 big pivot, I think it was a prior all-time high at 1.2, but big pivot there, and then a big bullish order block. So if it could confirm that, that would be really nice. Nice expansive move. This is probably not topped out yet. Probably pulls back a little bit, pushes up higher, but big imbalance here too. So I would be really surprised actually if it did not come back and check this order block. Barely. I mean, that's a bull flag. Clearly. I like it. So what you'd probably be looking at on this is, yeah, you want to see it to stay above like 70, 78, right? 70.8, I guess. So, I mean, it's probably going to dip below 71, but say it's 70,750 or so, right? And then you get another push off of this. It probably will not be as much as this one, like percentage wise, or just in terms of raw move. Right. Okay, so that was 5,000. Is it going to put it on another 5,000 from wherever it takes off from? Probably not. Right. You had this. It actually pushed up out of the rising consolidation, but you had this move. Then you had this expansive move. The second one, the third one's almost always lesser. That's what I would be looking for. Some sideways, just chopping sideways and down to around 70,750, ideally, and then another push up. If you get a deeper retrace, that's fine, actually. If you get a deeper retrace, look at that. That's the 50% is right at that, the bottom of the imbalance there, right? You see where the wick covers up to almost right there. If it dropped to there, you probably get a higher push, but it would also be a push from there. So again, still probably not, even if it dropped down to here, still probably not going to see 75. Oh yeah, let's see, 73.7 or 73.8 there is an old pivot as well. Oh, that was an all-time high. I remember that one. So, yeah, you get another push up. That's as very, very likely as far as it's going to go. Dominance. I guess what I'm seeing here is this is weird. So, I mean, it is kind of consolidating here, which makes you think it could push up. But the SRSI is also bleeding off, right? So this is really not moving up at all. And the SRSI has done that. So it's relieving it for the push down. And again, that's what we're looking. Maybe it drifts up a little bit. I mean, that would be fun. We'll have that strong wick up, and that you have those two strong wicks up, and that may very well be what's depressing the action here. Double top here, right there. So here and here, and then we have the close below, several closes below the intervening high. So yeah, it's probably going to come back up. Maybe challenge these highs, maybe even get a little bit higher. But I definitely expect to move down. And again, we were looking for move down below 50% from this. Was that it wasn't the channel failure. Maybe not. Head and shoulders pattern. I think that's probably what it was. In any event, I'll have to go look at that again. I'm actually not sure because I guess that doesn't look real technically correct for the head and shoulders. In any event, at one point I decided it was going to go below 50%, and I guess I'm going to roll with that until I figure out something different. Yeah, really volatile. Well, hey, it's just it's been a pretty news-driven period. I guess it's bouncy in general. Yeah, this is looking a little toppy on the daily. Right, come up here. I don't think it gets back above 60. Right, pump, second pump. Maybe you get a third one. But I think it's probably going to top out below 60. Oh, sure. Almost certainly. Maybe even look at some descending resistance here. Pretty strong rejection right here. I mean, it drove it right back down to where it popped from. So, actually, that's happened twice. So, this is the beginnings of a descending triangle, right? So that usually dumps. Let's take another target then, since we got I guess over here. Oops. All right. Well, whatever. Let's not stand on ceremony. So down to 57% maybe. USDT dominance. Ugh. I mean, really happy to see it rejecting down below the SR band here. That's an old SR band. Let's go ahead and back up to the weekly, see if we can see it. I think maybe on the monthly. Yeah, it is. Huh. Alrighty then. There it is. Okay. Yeah. I think I'm going to say pretty much what I said before. So pardon me for repeating myself. But even if you see, the inverse head and shoulders down here, whatever, there's a lot of ways to look at this. But even if you see this as a cup where there's going to be some continuation, right? Major resistance here. I mean, it popped up and checked this wick area too. You really are going to expect to see a major retrace. So whether you're ultimately bullish on the USDT, which would be bearish for crypto, if you think this is a bullish chart, even if you thought this was a bullish chart, you would still expect it to drop back down to below 6.5, right? That's very, very reasonable, right? Structure here, structure there, very, very reasonable. And this one too, that was that, 5.74. I think that's a pretty reasonable target too. That's not very deep below this, right? So W pattern here, you can kind of ignore this, I guess, but W pattern here, the check back down to that area, really clean, and then moved off that, hit the target. So perfectly free to come back down. Let's look at the daily, sure. Head and shoulder pattern in SRSI. And there is a little bit of the flagginess to this, but man, this is taking a long, long time. And this is kind of curvy. I'm not getting a feeling of strength from this out of the action. So I think we probably will see downside resolution. Total, yeah, man. This is just overall, let's back up to the weekly, I guess. Overall is just not good. I mean, this is not horrible. So, yeah, here's our head and shoulders target down here. 1.68. Thank goodness we didn't hit that, but we've definitely wiped out these. I remember when I was up here and I was like, oh, it really looks like it could go down here, and yeah, boy, that happened in a big way. So first move, classic flaggy consolidation, rising consolidation, another hard drop. This looks like a little more supportive though. Actually, kind of looks like the Bitcoin chart, doesn't it? What a shock. So there is the possibility that we will see this to come back. Continue to come back up. And I want to say again, for Bitcoin, for crypto in general, I do think that we're going to have a relief rally before the bottom's in. And I don't think the bottom's probably in yet. Certainly hasn't been confirmed yet. I mean, if this does end up being the local bottom, then, fantastic. But it'll take a while to confirm that, in my opinion. Again, looking for some kind of a low, probably, possibly as late as September. I'd like to see a relief rally, like a summer rally, and then a dip into September, and then things turn back around in October and we get a really nice Q4. That would be like the ideal scenario, in my opinion. Daily, yeah, see. Yeah, this just looks like the Bitcoin chart. Really deep drop down, kind of cuppy, and then it's trying to come up on that again. It's pretty much the same chart. So the danger, the longer term danger, is that if it doesn't break out of this rising channel, here's a really quick use of that regression trend. Right? If it doesn't break out of this rising channel relatively soon, it's going to break down, right, without a doubt. And this is true for both the charts. Probably most of your established crypto coins, which are just going to shadow Bitcoin, right? Total market cap. Oh, I'm sorry. This is others. I was like, what? Okay. Similar chart, right? Very similar chart. So wiki here as opposed to that run down and run back up. I'm sure we go down to the daily. We'll see it. Yeah. My thoughts are probably really not going to be any different. No. Right? A little more jagged, right? I mean, definitely a lot more volatility in this. But well, what do you expect? They're alts. Total 3 over total 2. So that's the inflow into our alts, right? That's not looking so hot, I'll be honest. This is basically the inverse of those charts that we've been looking at. I'll have to do some thinking on that. Solana. Yeah, this is just, this is the like Kronk said, this is a hormonal high schooler, right? Or whatever, your teenager that's just kind of dealing with all that stuff. Super reactive, super hyper reactive to everything, The world's going to end on any given day. Everything is absolutely imperative. Everything's an emergency, Oh my God, this is the most important thing ever. I won't remember it next week, but other than that, other than being extremely reactive, it is also the same chart. It looks like it's underperforming Bitcoin again. Yeah, it does. This chart looks much more bearish, right? It looks like it might be coming back to confirm resistance here. May just be this SR will come back up and check. May ride a little bit higher. Daily. Okay. Nice push here. Probably going to see a dip. The SRSI is definitely a little heated after that. But it doesn't have to dip very deep before continuing up. Again, I mean, this one absolutely, completely dependent on Bitcoin. And yeah, nice flag. Or beginnings of a nice flag. Bet that's hanging above that 382. Right? Oh, yeah. The 382's down here, right near the bottom of that SR. I like that. All right. So you're already seeing some indecision here. I mean, it could push up a little bit higher. I don't think that's probably what happens. I think maybe it swings up a little tiny bit, but I don't think it challenges even like this 85.90. I don't think it challenges that. I think you're just seeing a little initial reaction, and then it gets down. But it could do some real work in here and not drop too much lower. I don't know what this pivot was from. I can see some structure on there, but that's the 50. I mean, that's definitely pretty reasonable if you're looking for continuation. Just kind of watch it. Oh yeah, that looks like it's going lower. All right, so a drop, and this is just starting to chop up, but it's right on top of this too. I think it does continue to float back up. Maybe 85.50, maybe like in here, somewhere in there. And then dump if it even gets that high, right? Probably gets above 85, but bounce. You're seeing the volume taper off. You're probably going to see almost undoubtedly see a check lower on that one. ETH, right? That's flaggy. Yeah, kind of the same chart. Imbalance right here. I guess you're hoping to find support, but I'm not sure that one's bottomed yet either. But, I think in the larger frame, most of crypto, like I said, again, all the established alts, they're going to be very, very similar right now. And I think that's partially because of market conditions. I don't think you're going to see a lot of the alts outperforming Bitcoin right now. Later, the longer something underperforms Bitcoin, the longer an established alt underperforms Bitcoin, I think the greater its chances that it's going to outperform later. Stuff that's not so established, well, what happens to most of our most alts, most crypto in general. XRP, what? Okay. This is weird because somebody was saying, oh, XRP had a rally. Maybe they were talking about that one a No, that's a week. They must have been talking about lower time frame. I'm really disappointed with XRP. I thought it was going to do better. I think the reality is that it's just not going to get the nod, right? It's not going to be the one that is integrated for international payments. And it's unfortunate because they put in a lot of work and they had lobbyists and then they put money into it too. And I thought they really had a really good opportunity, but it was just didn't work out that way. It was not to be. Um, it has good potential bottoming candles, right? But here you are down $1.27. Like, ow. So far, not too bad. This consolidation here isn't bad, and it's doing the scallopy thing, not really making a deeper bottom. This could easily double bottom here. I mean, obviously, got to get a close up here, but I guess on the daily doesn't really look like it's doing that yet. Yeah, I don't know. Probably it probably swings up from here. $1.60. Yeah, $1.60 area looks like pretty stiff resistance. Again, volume's really uneven. It's not bad, not poor. It's just really uneven. Oh, nice little push there. I always like to see those volume spikes. Let's see if it holds it. Right. Maybe. I think maybe you see another push, but again, this is one of those things where I would not expect the push to be bigger than that, wherever it drops back to, so. There's your move. Okay, we'll make it green. And then, let's say maybe it drops back to there. Oh, that's not unreasonable. That's like 50% or so. Like there. Okay. So, $1.44. How does that work structurally? Maybe a little high. I would cheat it down. Just, yeah, for a couple of reasons. I mean, I would cheat it down anyway, but just because the way XRP's been performing lately. And what I would probably do, actually, is might go like, let's go like this. Wow, look at that. That 618 extension is right at $1.45. Huh. That's higher than I would go. All right. Yeah. Good volume. Maybe it does swing up. This is a little spooky though, right? You see this and higher. That probably means that it'll come up here, dip. So we get that flaggy consolidation, not drop very deep, and then swing up. But those swings that last swing is usually not very powerful, and this type of, if it does do the rising wave, that's compression in an upward direction, the bias is to the downside. It can push off of it, right? Absolutely can, because compression is not direction neutral, but that particular form generally results in a downside move. So I would probably go, let's just do this. Ray, I would probably go here. All right. You want to be pretty safe. I'd go there, $1.42. Got any other structure around there? Yeah. Sure. Yeah, I like that. I would probably go there. If you were going to look at that long, and obviously you have to go to the lower time frames and look for an entry, what have you. But yeah, I think I just think like $1.44 is a bit much to ask right now. Jupiter, not so bad. It's really not. I mean, this week's candle is just developing. Get a lot of upside wicks, right? Which is sales pressure, but potential double bottom. It does look like it's